everybody, and welcome to the best time of the NBA. It's the NBA offseason. It's NBA free agent fever. My name is LoroAntonio. Joining me is Taylor Sean Ogata, and Isaiah Leong will be joining us shortly. Taylor, welcome aboard, man. You got the nice haircut. You look like you're a basketball player today.
Thanks. Yeah. I've got free agency news on my TV behind me, as you can see. But anyways, I saw some breaking news. Juan Toscano Anderson is agreeing to a deal with the Lakers, and appears Jalen Brunson's going to sign a 4-year deal with the Knicks, and Bradley Beal is staying with the Wizards on a 5-year deal worth about $219 million.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of thoughts on that. Also, we have other news to talk about. Devin Booker is staying on a massive 4-year max contract to stay with the Suns. And also, Nikola Jokic is signing a max deal, a 5-year max deal worth $264 million to remain a Denver Nugget. And there's also news to talk about with regards to Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. They might be landing with the Lakers.
That's going to be... Yeah, that's another super team right there. I think it's going to be a bad decision for because it already backfired once. It just may backfire again.
And why do you think it may backfire again?
Well, the fact that chemistry is pretty much everything. So and the reason why the Lakers did not make it this year is because LeBron did not get along well with, say, Carmelo or Westbrook, because, they're all star players. And the fact that, they didn't, that kind of ruined the chemistry, because when you have too many star players, there's the fact that they probably won't get along well with each other. And, that could just make or break the franchise.
And what about you, Isaiah? What are your initial thoughts here on Devin Booker staying with the Phoenix Suns, which we were just talking about just now?
Well, first of all, it's good to see you guys, man. Happy NBA free agency. Happy basketball Christmas. Like I like to say, man, what a day, and not just in basketball, but in the sports world with all the, booming breaking news left and right that's been coming down so far. But my reaction to Devin Booker getting the money and getting the Supermax contract is it's a little bittersweet for me, because on one hand, I love Devin Booker. I'm so happy that he got paid and he got the money, and he got that big contract. But on the other hand, my dream of Devin Booker playing for the Lakers, my lifelong dream, I've been dreaming about that for the last 10 years. It's dead. I always wanted Devin Booker on the Lakers, and I was dreaming, LeBron and, AD with Booker, man, that would be such a great pairing. And now it's not going to happen because Booker is now signed, I believe, until, if I'm not mistaken, he is signed until like 2028, 2029. So, it sucks that he's not going to be a Laker, but I am happy for him that he got the bag today. It's a well-deserved bag for Devin Booker.
What about Nikola Jokic staying with Denver on a max contract?
That one, I wasn't surprised, because when you look at it, right, Nikola Jokic is the heartbeat of that franchise. He's the backbone of that franchise. And if he were to leave, then Denver would be in shambles and nobody would go to Denver. So they got to keep their homegrown stars. And I'm kind of glad that they did, keeping Nikola Jokic today. He deserves that money, but he's going to be getting paid $50+ million to play for the Denver Nuggets. So that's a crazy contract, man. These NBA contracts have gotten super, super, super insane the last few years, and it makes the Lakers contract of Mozgov and Dang a few years back, it makes it seem like it's nothing now with all these contracts just going in left and right. And I really won't be shocked if in a few years we see a guy getting paid $75 million per year, because that just seems like how the contracts are going. It's just going to keep getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And it's just gonna be, soon you might see a guy getting paid $100 million per year to play for a year. So it's crazy. It's crazy that the players are getting that much money. But good for Nikola Jokic, good for Devin Booker getting their contracts because those teams needed to keep their homegrown stars.
Absolutely. But also, what's not a shocker is that Jalen Brunson's going to be a New York Knick. And that I don't have any more comments to say here on that. Some bad news for the Memphis Grizzlies is that Jaren Jackson Jr. is out 4 to 6 months with a stress fracture in his right foot. Also today is that Kevin Durant requested a trade. So I don't know if that's going to lead to him being a Los Angeles Laker with Kyrie Irving. So anyways, Isaiah, I mean, I know you have the smile on your face here, so you have any take on that?
Yeah, my take is that an 11.7 magnitude earthquake just shook up the NBA and the sports world. I mean, when Kyrie Irving opted in to his $36.7 million player option, we all thought, okay, Kyrie's staying, most likely Durant is staying. This is going to be a boring offseason. But then a wake up to the news this morning from Woj and Shams that Kevin Durant had requested a trade. This just came out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere. It came out of left field because we all thought that like all the flames had been fanned and that situation was done. But to see that now that this is going up again, and that Brooklyn is expected to honor Kevin Durant's request, and Kyrie Irving is about to be moved, and Stephen A. Smith and Brian Windhorst is reporting that Kyrie Irving could sit out the season with the Brooklyn Nets if he doesn't get traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, it is crazy, man. It is absolute crazy. This is shaping up to be one of the biggest and most legendary off seasons we've seen in a while in the NBA, and it's going to be crazy because once KD moves, Kyrie's probably going to get moved. Who knows about Ben Simmons and the rest of the players on the Brooklyn Nets? So it's going to be like super crazy the next few weeks. And this is not just going to impact Brooklyn, but it's going to impact the Lakers. It's going to impact all the other teams that are rumored. Because let's say he goes to Phoenix, then you get a super team with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, which is pretty unstoppable right there. Kyrie's there. The West gets even stronger. The Warriors are going to have to watch out. We'll see if Chris Paul, if he goes to the Nets, then he's going to be unhappy because he doesn't want to be playing on a rebuilding team. So then there's going to be talks of where Chris Paul is going to go. So this is going to be just one domino falling after another this offseason, and I'm all for it, man. I can't wait. But for the Brooklyn Nets, their Titanic just sunk today.
I think it did sink today. What about you, Taylor? What is your thoughts on potentially Kyrie and KD Kyrie and KD potentially joining the Los Angeles Lakers?
Oh, that, I don't know, but I mean, the Lakers are stacked as it is already. But and speaking of the Lakers, I just saw some breaking news on ESPN on my TV in front of me. A guy who was on the Lakers this past season, Malik Monk, just agreed to a 2-year contract with my Sacramento Kings. So, that's probably, that could be a sign that, the Lakers are probably clearing cap space for, Durant and Kyrie because, because Malik Monk, he's a good shooter, and that is one piece that not only the Lakers could get rid of, but my Sacramento Kings probably might need that as well. So they may have just gotten it. But at the same time, the Nets, I also saw this, the Nets have they just acquired Royce O'Neal from the Utah Jazz, according to sources. And they also re-signed guys like Nick Claxton and Patty Mills. So who knows? This could be the last dominoes falling for the Brooklyn Nets in terms of, Durant and Kyrie. But with those moves being made by the Lakers and Nets, we have a lot of dominoes that just may be falling at the moment. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't think Durant and Kyrie would be a good fit in with the Lakers because they're stacked as it is, and who knows if they would even get along with LeBron and AD. So, but there is that possibility, but I don't see it happening.
Well, I mean, talk about this NBA retweet I just saw. CP3, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns, which I think that could be possible that there's a big three in Phoenix. Now that Devin Booker is staying in Phoenix and you get Chris, and then you team him with Chris Paul and KD, I think I think to me that's a really, really, I think to me, I think Phoenix would be the team to beat if that happened here. So, anyways, Isaiah, go ahead. What you're going to say about, you want something to add about the Kyrie and KD both to LA scenario?
Yeah, I think that, I'm hoping it happens, but I don't think it's likely that it happens. I think if the Lakers do get one, it's going to be Kyrie Irving, because Kyrie has essentially told every team in the NBA that I want to go to the Lakers. That's the only team I want to go to, whether it's this year via trade or whether it's in the off season, next off season. I'll sign with the Lakers. So if you're like Detroit, or you're like San Antonio, or you're like Dallas, or you're the New York Knicks, or you're unfortunately Taylor Sacramento Kings, you try to put together a package for Kyrie Irving, are you even going to do that? Because he's going to leave in a year. So why would you want to trade all those pieces, trade all the picks, trade all the players, trade all the stuff that you will trade for a guy that's only going to be here 1 year? Because in his mind, he is set 100% on going to the Lakers. And I just think that if you're the Nets, you might as well trade him, because you might as well trade him to the Lakers and honor his request, because why would you? I mean, you'll basically be paying the guy $36 million just to sit on the bench for the entire season, and you don't want that if you're Brooklyn. And I think also about Durant, to your point, Loro, if Durant goes to Phoenix, then I think you're right. The Phoenix Suns are the team to beat, but I think Chris Paul would probably have to be out of there just to make the money work, because then you can't have like three guys making like 45 plus million on the team. So it wouldn't work money wise. So Paul would probably have to go somewhere. Nets would get a lot of draft picks back, and probably some young players, but that would be a scary duo with Durant and Devin Booker on that team. And if they could somehow keep Chris Paul, it would be a dynamic duo. But that's what I'm saying, about Durant and Irving. It's if Durant goes to Phoenix, Irving goes to the Lakers, you got three super teams right there. Phoenix, LA, and you got the Warriors, and then you have Dallas potentially with what they have. So the West would be super stacked, and it would legitimately be a bloodbath every single game in the Western Conference. It would just be a dynamic Western Conference.
And on that note, you may not know this. While I switched to NBA TV, a 4-year, $49 million contract for Bobby Portis and the Milwaukee Bucks. But what I was going to say on that note, you mentioned between with all those super teams, the Lakers, the Suns, potentially Dallas and Golden State. Well, here's a guy who has just signed with I think he signed some kind of contract with the Mavericks. It's big man JaVale McGee, who has played for both the Warriors and the Lakers, and now here he is, and he's also played for the Suns this past season. But now here he is in Dallas, and who knows how that's gonna fare? Because the Mavericks are a big team already with Luka and who knows who else. But I think McGee might, I think he's probably going to be the guy to fill the void left by Jalen Brunson. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows there, Taylor? That's for sure. But I kind of think I think that right now we're going to hear a lot of breaking news here tonight, and when we have breaking news, we'll let you know here. Also, the next free agent we'll talk, big name free agent that's already off the books, is Bradley Beal. He is going back to the Washington Wizards on a 5-year max contract after opting out. And Isaiah, I'll start with you on this. Is that a surprise to you about Bradley Beal staying with Washington?
No, it's not, but it's also an absolutely dumb move by Bradley Beal because Bradley Beal has complained, oh, the Wizards are not building a team around me that can compete. Oh, I am so sick and tired of losing. Then you go out there, you have a chance to get out and go somewhere else to try to win, and yet you take the money and sign a 5-year supermax to stay in Washington, which will take you into your mid-30s. Like, are you kidding me, Bradley Beal? You keep complaining about losing, and yet you stay with the team that never, ever, ever puts a team around you to compete to try to get a championship. Like, Bradley Beal, my message to him is that he can never, ever, ever, ever complain about losing again. Because you just had a chance to get out, but you chose to stay. So Bradley Beal can never complain that the Wizards, oh my gosh, they're not putting a team around me to compete. We suck and all of that stuff. I don't want to hear any of that after you took the money when you had a chance to compete. It was an absolutely dumb decision by Bradley Beal, and it's a decision that I think that, yeah, money-wise, he's not going to regret it because he's going to be making a lot of money, but for legacy-wise, yes, he's going to regret it big time because you had a chance to go to Boston, you had a chance to go to the Lakers, you had a chance to go to Miami to try to compete now, but instead you're going to be stuck playing losing basketball for the rest of your career.
Yeah, and I think to that point, could I see the Wizards building around Bradley Beal? It's possible, but it's just it's I just think that it's just a foolish decision by him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that, I don't understand why he did that. Like, I get he's trying to get the money, and Christy Wilson says, in Beal's case, money talks. Yes, it does. But let me also just say, winning matters now. People talk about your legacy. What would they talk about, Taylor and Loro? They talk about the rings and what you did as a basketball player and how much did you win. And Bradley Beal, I don't know, you're at a point in your career where you've made a lot of money. You're set for life. Your kids are set for life. Your grandkids are set for life as well. And now it's time to go take a little bit less and go win. But he goes out and takes the bag. So I really don't know what to make of it because if I was Bradley Beal, I would have 100% gotten out of Washington and gone to like a Boston or a Miami or a Lakers just to win, since you're at that point of your career where you need to be thinking about winning now.
So, anyways, what's your thoughts, Taylor, on Bradley Beal staying with Washington?
Well, I don't know, but it kind of, for the money, if it was me, in this case, I would probably want more money, but at the same time, I want to win too. For Bradley Beal's case, I think they might be trying to not only re-sign him, but which they did, but at the same time, they're trying to, I think, try and get some new players around him. They already lost, they already traded away Kentavious Caldwell Pope and who I forgot who else, but because after last year when they sent Westbrook to the Lakers in exchange for KCP as well as Montrezl Harrell and Kyle Kuzma, um, I mean those three guys were great players, but unfortunately they sent away Montrez to Charlotte, and now KCP is off to Denver, but at the same time, they still have Kuzma, and Kuzma's a heck of a player too. So, but if you wanted to win, I'd say personally, this was kind of this was kind of a stupid decision on his part. But at the same time, I think he was also thinking about, what we say team parity, because, because with super teams on the rise in these days, it isn't really fair to, some of the other teams as well. So that's probably the reason why, he decided to stay with the Wizards, because of team parity. We gotta have, every team has to have at least one star player, and that's probably why Beal decided to stay with the Wizards.
Yeah, so anyways, I'm going to go to Isaiah here. Tell us your thoughts on the Lakers signing Juan Toscano-Anderson, also Troy Brown Jr., and also Lonnie Walker the fourth.
I think that the Lonnie Walker signing is probably a very underrated signing, because Lonnie Walker off the bench for the Spurs last year, he was actually really good. He's really fast. He can defend. He's a really good scorer. So you just added a guy for $6.5 million who's very, very young, who's coming into his prime, and also he's a guy that when you look at it, he's a guy, when you look at it on paper, he's a guy that can give you great minutes, whether it's starting or whether it's off the bench, and he can defend. He's very athletic as well, and he's young. So I love that signing for the Lakers, that they got Lonnie Walker, because Lonnie Walker was supposed to get lots of interest from a lot of teams everywhere in the NBA, and for him to choose to go to the Lakers for $6 million when he had bigger offers out there just says a lot, man. And Juan Toscano-Anderson, I like it because he has championship DNA. He's a guy that also is young and has fresh legs and athletic and can defend. Troy Brown, don't really know much about it. I don't even know if he's even going to be on the roster come October. I think it's a non-guaranteed contract. But when you look at the Lakers signings, Damian Jones, Troy Brown, Lonnie Walker, and now Juan Toscano-Anderson, they're building it on athletic and young wings, and you like to see it. But like I told you, Loro, before the show started, this offseason for the Lakers, for it to be considered a massive success, it has to end with Kyrie Irving being a Los Angeles Laker, because you can't just, yeah, you get good, depth pieces and you get good bench pieces, but it can't end with Russell Westbrook still being on the Los Angeles Lakers, because Westbrook and LeBron are not a good fit. Westbrook and LeBron are basically same players. You have to get a guy that can shoot. You have to get a guy that can be good at the mid-range game, and you have to get a guy that can make the layups, and that is what Kyrie Irving is. So you got to get Kyrie Irving. It has to be focused on, it has to end. This offseason, has to end. It can't end with just us getting Troy Brown and Juan Toscano-Anderson and the guys that we got, and also Lonnie Walker. It's got to end with Kyrie Irving, or else this offseason would have been an utter disaster.
And anyways, Taylor, what are your thoughts on the Kings stealing Malik Monk from the Lakers?
Oh, this is I think it's a kind of a good idea, because Malik Monk, I don't think he really fit in with the Lakers. I mean, this is kind of, I remember this happened in the past, like when the King, like many years ago, when the Kings went out and got Vlade Divac from the Lakers. Because this is kind of a true not, well, they are rivals, of course, but at the same time, they kind of know who to look for. Like, kind of like in the past, like many years ago when they went to get Vlade Divac from the Lakers for, I think the draft. I think it was a 3-team trade where the Lakers would end up getting Kobe Bryant, and well, I think, except that was a different story, but. With Malik Monk coming to Sacramento, this is pretty much a pretty good shooter, and I think he would probably fill the void that was left by Buddy Hield, and for him to team up with guys like De'Aaron Fox and potentially now Sabonis once he comes back from injury, and I think this is probably going to be the new big three with Monk and Fox and Sabonis. And then I also heard a lot of other rumors as well in the past, like with the Kings potentially getting another former Laker. And I mentioned this guy earlier in the show of him trying to build him with the Wizards. Kyle Kuzma. He's another heck of a player who can can change a game, and he's also a good shooter, particularly from the outside. But who knows if he would even fit in with the Kings, because they're trying to get younger, and Kuzma's kind of that age. He's a well-seasoned veteran, of course, but at the same time, Monk could definitely change a game, and he can also and he is also a good shooter, as I said before. So I think this is definitely that's probably a splash, but the Kings, I think, have yet to make some more big moves as well.
Yeah, you're right about that. But anyways, a little quiet here now in this second hour of the NBA free agent fever here. But I mean, Isaiah, you expect any more breaking news throughout the evening?
No, I think the ones that we got were kind of like talked about in secret before free agency began. And I think to Keith Smith, who does a great job for, I forgot who he reports for, but Keith Smith, he does a tremendous show on basketball. Keith Smith, he is a guy, or Keith Smith, yeah, for the front office show. Also contributor to Spotrac. He's the guy that said that he was talking to people around the NBA, and they said that after the Kevin Durant and the Kyrie Irving bombshells that came down today, it's expected that you're not really going to hear much now, because a lot of people are waiting to hear what happens with KD and Kyrie before moving on with their plans. So I think it's going to be quiet for the next few days. But once KD and Kyrie, I think once the KD trade is done, then you're going to see more floods coming, because a lot of free agents want to hold off and see. They want to see, what they want to see where KD and Kyrie goes and where they potentially have a chance to win a championship.
Yeah, you're right about that. But anyways, it's going to be an hour program here for NBA free agent fever. Let's talk about where I think James Harden's going to go. We kind of talked about it yesterday. Any word now, Isaiah, if you think James Harden is going to stay with the Philadelphia 76ers?
No, not yet. But the one that Loro and Taylor I'm really interested in is, I think James Harden's going to stay, but the reports were that Zach LaVine is meeting with the Bulls tonight, but he is not going to make a decision tonight. He's going to make a decision probably in the next coming day. So it leads me to believe that there is an opening for Zach LaVine to potentially leave Chicago, which we all predicted he was going to stay in Chicago. But it's just really interesting that if he was going to stay in Chicago, he would have just signed the deal tonight at that restaurant that they were meeting at. But him not going to do that and make a decision later on, it just makes me think, okay, is there some doubt in his mind about whether he should go back to Chicago or not? But where would he go, though? That's the thing, because the Lakers are focused on Kyrie. Other teams are focusing on KD. Where would Zach LaVine even go if it's not Chicago? Like, I don't understand. Where would he go? I don't know. Maybe he's waiting on KD to the Bulls, maybe, to see if he would go somewhere, but who knows? But yeah, that's the Zach LaVine intel is really, really interesting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Isaiah. But I'll tell you, I think that the Lakers, in my opinion, I think that the Lakers are going to find a way to. I think that the Lakers will. I think if they trade for Kyrie, it's going to shock the whole NBA world, as Brandon Herrera says. Harden is going to go to Isaiah's Dallas Jets team. He kind of prefers it to the Dallas Mavericks. What do you think about that, Isaiah?
Harden with Luka, I mean, that would be pretty good. That'd be a pretty good signing. I'm not gonna lie, because that would be a good backcourt. But I still think he's going to go to Chicago, but don't sleep on Kevin Durant to Chicago. Don't sleep on that. They do have some of the pieces to get it done. They do have some picks. And remember, KD did play for Billy Donovan back in OKC, so there is a connection there. So don't sleep on Chicago for Kevin Durant, but I think everybody's just waiting on where Durant's going to go, because the reports are saying now that Durant could be traded in the upcoming days and in the upcoming hours. So we're just going to have to wait to find out where Kevin Durant does indeed go.
Yeah, and Brandon Herrera predicts Zach LaVine will go back to Minnesota. I mean, does he want to go back there? I mean, to pair with D'Angelo Russell, I could see that.
Or get D'Angelo Russell out of there and just bring Zach LaVine back on a max contract. You could do that with him and Karl Anthony Towns. That would be an absolute dynamic athletic duo with Cat and Zach LaVine. So, hey, if the Timberwolves could swing that, I think that would be a great pairing for sure. But Taylor, what do you think?
Oh yeah, Zach LaVine to team up with D'Angelo Russell. That would potentially be I'd say they'd make a pretty decent, a dynamic duo, because LaVine is excuse me, both guys are great players. So, for them to team up, and I don't think the Timberwolves. And by the way, I think they've signed Kyle Anderson to some contract, but as I see on the ticker and the NBA TV, but I think if you with LaVine, if you throw LaVine and D'Angelo Russell and then potentially Kyle Anderson into the mix, this can definitely be a great big three for the Wolves, because I think those three have the potential, and I think they just might be able to make or break the Wolves season. Who knows?
It might make or break the season of the Minnesota Timberwolves, which you're totally right about that here, Taylor. But anyways, now we'll talk. Anyways, I mean, what else you have going on, Insider Leon? I mean, are you getting any more information about what's going on with the Kyrie trade? Ready to break some news here?
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith and Brian Windhorst, as I told you guys earlier, reported that Kyrie Irving is willing to sit out the entire season with the Brooklyn Nets if he's not traded to the Lakers. I mean, look at that head case right there. He's going to pull a Ben Simmons and sit out the season if he doesn't get his wish. So, oh my gosh, that would be crazy if he actually does that. But from what we've gathered here on our IM6 studios, the latest news is that free agent guard Dion Wright has agreed to a 2-year, $16 million contract to sign with the Washington Wizards. So that's like the latest right now. Dion Wright is heading to Washington, D.C. To pair with Bradley Beal, as you see it right over there. Dion Wright heading to Washington to play with Bradley Beal, 2 years, $16 million. Other deals that we're keeping track of right now. Nick Batum has agreed to a 2-year deal to return to the Los Angeles Clippers per Woj as well, as Taylor, I guess, is having some internet troubles. Also, we got some news from Brooklyn, where free agent guard Patty Mills. This is a guy, Loro, remember, we predicted where he was going to go. Patty Mills has agreed to return to the Brooklyn Nets. It is a 2-year, $14.5 million deal. There we go for the folks out there. Patty Mills heading back to the Brooklyn Nets. But yeah, I think that. Yeah, go ahead, Laura.
I kind of think that Patty Mills staying with Brooklyn doesn't surprise me. I think he enjoys it there.
Yeah, I think so. I think he does enjoy it in Brooklyn, but I'm kind of interested because I thought when he opted out that I thought that okay, he knows that Durant and Irving something's up with them, and then we get the news today. I thought that you would see Patty Mills going somewhere else. I think I had Patty Mills going to Charlotte, but to see him staying back with the Nets and potentially like rebuilding with them, it's very interesting. Very interesting that he is staying with the Brooklyn Nets.
I kind of think the Lakers getting Damian Harris here, Isaiah, Damian Jones. I mean, I think he's going to start at center right away. I think that you're going to see him be a contributor right away.
Yeah, I mean he could, but I think if you're the Lakers, I would not rule out DeMarcus Cousins because he was a guy that Darvin Ham really pushed the Bucks aside. He is a free agent. Remember the Nuggets at the start of free agency they signed DeAndre Jordan to a contract, so I think they're out on him. So I think I could see DeMarcus Cousins going back to LA as another possibility. But like I said, doesn't matter who we get. It's got to end with Kyrie Irving rocking the purple and gold. That's what it's got to end with. You know, we could get your DeMarcus Cousins and your athletic two-wing players, but it's got to end with Kyrie being a Los Angeles Laker.
He definitely could be a Los Angeles Laker here. As you know, DeAndre Jordan to Denver, I think that he's probably going to be a guy that's going to come off the bench. He's not a guy that's going to start and move Jokic to the four. I think Jokic is going to be starting at center.
Taylor, what do you think about that?
So,
Yeah, I personally believe that if Jokic, if the Joker, he would probably stay at center, or I don't know if DeAndre Jordan, he is a center, but personally, if he has the potential to be a good starter, and if you want him to start, I personally put him at probably the power forward position, or I think that's, I mean, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts off the bench. But at the same time, with DeMarcus Cousins, he hasn't. I remember when he first entered the league with my Kings, he was up and down, but he didn't really take off until like say 2013-14. That's when he pretty much, those are probably his best seasons in Sacramento. And then eventually I remember they traded him to the Pelicans in exchange for Buddy Hield, and that was a pretty good trade. But at the same time, he kind of still has some anger issues, though I think he might have curbed those by now, which is good. But I think as I was saying, DAJ and the Joker in Denver, they would probably be a good 1-2 punch. And DeMarcus Cousins, I mean, no surprise if he ends up going back to the Lakers. But personally, I'm pretty sure the Kings may want him back because, I mean, while he did have anger management problems at the start, but I think he's probably learned how to curb those anger management issues. So, but we'll just have to watch. But hopefully I see DeMarcus with it just in purple, no gold. But yeah, I mean, but in terms of like you were saying, Isaiah, in terms of Kyrie going to the Lakers, that's probably going to be a fat chance of that, because the Lakers are, like I said, they're stacked as it is right now. So I just don't. But we'll just have to wait and see.
I agree with you, Taylor. I just think that it's inevitable that Kyrie's going to go because he said that if he doesn't go to the Lakers, he's just going to sit the season out. So it's basically Lakers or nothing for him.
Yeah, and I think Kyrie is also used to sitting on the bench, because you remember at the start of COVID, how he was, because of the vaccine mandates in New York and even here in California, that's why he sat out a lot of games, because he remained unvaxxed. I mean, I think those mandates have been rolled back now, but at the same time, you know, he's probably gonna do what he's been used to doing the past year and a half because of health and safety reasons.
Yep. And anyways, we'll wait for more NBA news here, but also, we got to talk about this. USC and UCLA are moving to the Big Ten. And Isaiah, what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, my thoughts on that was that it's just another crazy bombshell in what has been an absolute crazy day in the world of sports. Like I couldn't believe it this morning when I woke up and saw, the KD news all over ESPN with the breaking news. And then right on the bottom, it was breaking news. USC and UCLA are joining the Big Ten. And I was like, what? Are you serious? They're joining the Big Ten? So I was really shocked by it as we, like Laurel said, as we continue to wait for more breaking news on the NBA, but we're going to shift gears right now to some college sports. But let me just say this. Last year, when we talked about Oklahoma and Texas jumping from the Big 12 to the SEC, I said, this is just the beginning. College sports as we know it and loved it is dead. It is gone. Goodbye. No more of the old college sports. The guard has changed, and this is going to be the new college sports where you're going to see probably 2 or 3 super conferences in college athletics. And, a lot of people were like, Isaiah, you're crazy. It's going to stop at Oklahoma and Texas moving to the SEC. And I kept telling people, no, it's not going to stop. This is going to affect every conference from top all the way to the bottom, even the smallest conferences in college sports. It's going to affect it. And I was really shocked, to be honest with you, that because I thought that, okay, after all the moves that happened last year with Oklahoma, Texas, and then you had the other teams going from the AAC conference to the Big 12, and the New Mexico State joining the Conference USA, and the Conference USA, some of their teams leaving for other conferences, and we didn't really hear more about conference realignment. I thought, okay, it seemed like everything has stopped, everything has settled down, the dust has settled, but then you hear this today, and now all hell is broken loose because apparently the Pac-12, the Big 10, and the ACC, they formed an alliance, and there was a mutual understanding where the teams from the Big 10, the ACC, and the Pac-12, they weren't supposed to poach each other's teams. But guess what? The Big 10 said today, hell with it. We're going to poach your teams and basically Trojan horse the Pac-12 teams. And they got USC and UCLA today. Now there's reports Oregon is in talks with the SEC and the Big 10. Washington's going to go somewhere. Cal and Stanford could go somewhere as well. Colorado, Arizona State, Arizona could move elsewhere. It's just going to be more craziness and more madness as we go down. And I really won't be shocked if by the end of this year and by the end of all this conference realignment stuff, that at the end of it, we only have 3 conferences, and we have like each conference filled with like 30 teams of some sort just to have it be like a super conference. So it is crazy. It's going to get even more crazier. And, I know Loro and Taylor, you might be like a Pac-12 guy with USC and UCLA, but the days of the Pac-12 is done. And, now we're going to see like some great matchups, in college football and college basketball and even baseball. Like you're going to have USC versus Ohio State every single year. I mean, that's crazy. If Oregon goes to the SEC, you have Oregon versus Oklahoma every year, Oregon versus Alabama, Oregon versus Florida. It gives you some amazing matchups to watch. And as a sports fan, man, I'm so here for this college expansion stuff.
Yeah, I mean, nothing much. I mean, I think that college sports is kind of dead here, but I still watch it for the fun of it, and I watch college football because of the SEC and the Alabama Crimson Tide, and also college basketball because of the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, those are some. Well, yeah, all those sports. There's every school pretty much has their specialty program. Like, yeah, like you mentioned for college hoops with Duke. Don't forget North Carolina, because especially when they produced a bunch of great star players like Michael Jordan, most notably, and a few others. But for football, pretty much every school, while football is the sport that makes the most money in college, you know, there are several other schools that have their other specialty sports. Like, for me, living in Orange County in Anaheim, just up the road, Cal State Fullerton, they've made the most money on their baseball programs. So, but at the same time, you know, college sports, they just aren't really, I kind of lost interest ever since I started going into, like when I first entered college out of high school. But at the same time, it's just, you know, things have changed, obviously.
Yes, definitely things have changed, and also Ish says crazy day in all of sports, fellas. So I think it is a crazy day. And also it's going to be even crazier when the Dodgers take on the San Diego Padres today here. I mean, I wish Callan was on here so that I could talk to him about this whole series here. But I think the Dodgers, can they take 3 out of 4 from San Diego? I could see that. I just think that the Dodgers, I could see that. But at the same time here, the Padres, I think this series coming up, fellas, I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be a great series. Could I see it being a 3 out of 4? Can the Dodgers split with the Padres? I think that this Dodgers-Padres rivalry is on.
It sure is, and not to mention with all the sluggers they have, like the Dodgers with Muncy and Freeman, and I mean the Dodgers have depth pretty much throughout their entire lineup, but the Padres do too, with Cronenworth and well, Manny Machado and Tatis are still out, but you've also got as I mentioned, Cronenworth, Hosmer, also Trent Grisham. These both clubs are pretty much full of depth. So, but honestly, I say this is probably going to be a series split, potentially. But we'll just have to watch for that, because and not to mention in terms of pitching, I don't know if I mean the Padres, with Snell and Clevenger. I mean, they're pretty comparable to what the Dodgers have in Kershaw and Bueller, and you know, but this is definitely going to be an epic series.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an epic series here. And anyways, Isaiah, you got breaking news here.
Yes, breaking news from Woj, Jalen Brunson. It's been long rumored to happen, him going to the Knicks. Well, it is happening. Jalen Brunson has officially signed with the Knicks. It is 4 years, $104 million deal is the final numbers according to Woj. So Jalen Brunson is leaving Luka to be the man of his own show, and he's going to the New York Knicks.
Talk about him now reuniting with his dad, who is now an assistant coach for the New York Knicks. And I think that I think Jalen Brunson, watch out. He and RJ Barrett are going to be raining down threes at the Garden every night.
This is a crazy. Everybody knew it was happening. Now that it's happened, I'm just like, okay, the Knicks. I'm happy for the Knicks because they actually got Jalen Brunson. He was the guy that they've been wanting for a while now, and also I think that his dad was there. I believe, yeah, his dad was there. Um, him being on the coaching staff, they always wanted him. He was Leon Rose's first client when he was starting out as an agent. So now you look at it, I think Brunson will be the star of his own show. He'll get the chance to shine there at Madison Square Garden. I'm surprised though that he took a little less money, because when I saw when I saw the reports was that, oh, he was going to go for 110 million, and I was thinking, like, why are the Knicks so wanting this guy for so much? Because he's not really like a star, like a Donovan Mitchell or like a Kevin Durant or like a Kyrie Irving. Like, why are they trying to like their hardest to get this guy? But I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. But maybe now with him not taking too much money and him leaving some money on the table, they can go out and maybe like try to get some some different free agents that can help them build this team with Brunson and also with RJ Barrett. I'm also going to be interested to see what happens to Julius Randle. You know, is he going to be moved? Because that salary of his is going to be very hefty. But with Brunson, it gives them another scorer as well.
Definitely does give them a score here, but also another developing story here. I'm going to report it here is that the Miami Heat have submitted a trade offer for Donovan Mitchell. Talk about Jimmy Butler getting a star here.
Oh man, the Jazz have already, they've already shipped out Royce O'Neal to Brooklyn. So, this is perhaps, the Jazz cleaning house because, and they've already, and not only that, they've hired Will Hardy, a former Boston assistant coach, as their head coach. So I think this is the Utah Jazz cleaning house. So I think with Donovan Mitchell, because who knows? He could be next to go as well as Royce O'Neal. With Royce O'Neal gone, I think this could be the end of an era for the Utah Jazz. Not just him, but Rudy Gobert. He might be next to go as well as with Donovan Mitchell, and who knows who else. But on that note, I also saw some more breaking news. There's the process of Kemba Walker getting bought out by the Detroit Pistons. Where do you see him going potentially?
I could see Kemba Walker going to a team that I think needs a starting point guard. And I could see that be bad. I could see that being Dallas. Pair him with Luka.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, perhaps Kemba Walker would definitely be a good fit in the Mavericks lineup because and not only that, he's pretty much well rounded. I don't think the Mavs have had anyone well rounded since say Dirk and or whoever else was on that 2011 championship team. But Dirk. I think Kemba Walker could definitely be the new Dirk in Dallas.
Definitely could. What are your thoughts on that, Isaiah?
I don't know where Kemba Walker would go, to be honest with you. I think that it's going to depend because apparently, from what I'm reading right now, is that the Dallas Mavericks, after losing Brunson, are expected to make an aggressive run at Cavs restricted free agent Colin Sexton. So if they can't get Sexton, then I think that would be an option. But I don't know where Kemba would go. He's just he's like John Wall. He's kind of old and he's been like injured as of late. So maybe I think he goes to like a contending team to try to ring chase and try to win a championship.
That definitely could be a possibility here. So I think my thoughts on Donovan Mitchell being a Miami Heat, I think Miami to me is all in. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the Heat are definitely going all in when it comes to signing a superstar like Donovan Mitchell because you've got you do have quite a bit of cap restrictions under when you already have say Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler and so like I think we also mentioned this last night. They probably have to give up some of their assets like say Tyler Hero and but maybe if it could be maybe if you're gonna trade, I say probably trade someone like Tyler Hero to Utah in exchange for Mitchell or something like that.
Yeah, maybe you're totally right about that. But anyways, Ben Kurse might be joining us shortly here as we are about in the hour mark of the NBA free agent fever here. I mean, Isaiah, so today is actually the day that free agents can now sign.
No, they can only agree to a contract. They can't sign. They can just agree to a contract, but they can sign, I believe, I believe they could sign only starting in a couple of days. Like I think on Monday is when they can actually sign. Oh,
Okay.
Lou Dort and the Thunder agreed to a 5-year, $87.5 million deal.
I think you talk about the foundation of OKC and their young core. I kind of think here, Isaiah, I think I think OKC is looking to keep that core together and try to win a championship.
Yeah, they have a good core. They have Chet Holmgren now. They have Lou Dort. They have SGA. They have a whole bunch of young guys. Josh Giddey as well. I like what they're doing in OKC. They really have a good young core there in Oklahoma City. And I think when you look at Oklahoma City, I could see them being a threat like in about a couple of years from now. Not next year or the year later, but in a couple of years once Holmgren gets his body right and all these other guys mature and become like good pros.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But anyways, we are in the hour mark of free agency, and anyways, uh, anyways here, um, anyways here, what do you expect more in hour one of this program, Isaiah?
In the next hour, I just think like it's gonna be kind of quiet because I'm thinking that free agency it opened up with a flurry like we expected, but it's really calmed down because I think everybody, and I think Taylor will probably agree with me, and you, Loro, as well. I think everybody's just waiting for the KD shoe to drop. Once that drops, then all hell will break loose in free agency. It's gonna be like when LeBron signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. Like you started seeing like, okay, this guy is going to the Lakers. This guy's going to the Lakers. This guy's going here. This guy's going here. They're all waiting for that one shoe to drop, and that is Kevin Durant. So I think everybody's just waiting for Durant. I don't know if we're gonna see like more moves later on tonight, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen shortly when Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, or one of them, gets traded. That's gonna be the first shoe to drop.
Some news in baseball to talk about here, Isaiah. Juan Soto has been offered a $425 million deal for 13 years, Isaiah. I think he should accept it.
I don't. Here's the thing. That 420, right? 420 over 13. I'm trying to do some math right here to see how much that offer is. That's like, here's the thing. I could see him getting more than that because it's 420, right? Aaron Judge this year, I think that, and I'm going to boldly predict this. I think Aaron Judge will get a $500 million contract for what he's getting because I think he's going to hit like 60 home runs. He's already got almost 30 right now, and we're not even at the All-Star break yet. So if he can continue what he's doing, he can keep shredding pitchers, and he can keep on just doing his thing and lead the Yankees deep into the playoffs, or even if they win a World Series, I think that he's gonna eventually get that $500 million contract. I think Soto, because he's younger, and he's a guy that hasn't reached his prime yet. I think Juan Soto could absolutely, eclipse what Aaron Judge has gotten from the New York Yankees. So if I'm Juan Soto, if I was advising him, hold off on it. Hold off on it until you see the Judge deal.
I think Aaron Judge will stay a Yankee, Isaiah. I think he will.
I think he will, and I think he'll get a $500 million contract. But the Yankees have been known to be stingy when it comes to people. When it comes to people getting big time contracts, like if it really is $500 million, I don't know if the Yankees would pay that. I know the Mets would, but I don't know if the New York Yankees would be willing to pay like that sort of contract, $500 million for a 30-year-old Aaron Judge.
Yeah, I don't know if that would happen too.
Yeah.
So, anyways, now with that being said, here we're about in the hour mark here, and anyways, folks, Isaiah, do you think we should go to final thoughts here since we're kind of quiet with NBA news?
I think that, I think right now, like we're just waiting right now. We can wait about probably like 30 more minutes to try to see if there's anything. There's really hasn't been much. It's just like the flurry has just stopped right now, and everybody is talking about, KD and Kyrie. So, you know what? I think we should just pivot on to final thoughts because I don't think we're going to be getting much for the rest of tonight.
I don't think so either. So my final thoughts is that it's been a great show here, and I think that maybe we might go on tomorrow if there's a breaking news with Kyrie and Kevin Durant. What are your final thoughts, Isaiah?
Yeah, I think my final thoughts is what a great show. What a great sports day so far with all the breaking bombshell news coming out, and I'm looking forward to seeing more, and I can't wait to see where Kyrie goes. I'm looking forward to see where KD goes. Hopefully Kyrie is a Laker, man. It's going to be so much fun, but this summer is off to a bang, man, and I can't wait to see it unfold the rest of the way.
What are your final thoughts, Taylor, before we call it for the night?
Oh yeah, this was definitely a heck of a day in terms of not only basketball but all sports. This summer, like Isaiah said, it's already shaping up to be, perhaps the summer of a lifetime, if not, just so to speak. But not only am I looking forward to seeing what else unfolds, but at the same time, for other sports, like in hockey with free agency starting July 13th in the NHL, I'm looking forward to see who goes where, and not to mention definitely looking forward to this coming October for when hockey and basketball season starts up again. So I've definitely got a lot to look forward to.
A lot to look forward here for Isaiah and for Taylor. Loro signing off.
Before you close it for the night, just got something in from Sam Amick of The Athletic. He says, as for the prospects of the Lakers trying to get in on the Durant sweepstakes, the source says that the Lakers' chances are 0, and it seems like the Lakers don't want Kevin Durant right now. Their focus is on Kyrie Irving and only Kyrie Irving.
Okay, that's a good one there. But anyways, for Taylor and for Isaiah, Loro signing off for now. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you again on Wild Sports Talk of the rebrand of it. And Isaiah and I will have to talk about that in the matter of days.